The one thing that brought us all together is horses. Pretty much a guarantee if you come on vacation with me, there's going to be at least one horseback riding activity. And there's going to be actually several opportunities to do horse-related activities, and a few I think are going to be expected. Whenever you show a clip of a white horse doing airs above the ground, and kind of as a little bit of a giveaway that we're going to be seeing some Lipizzaner horses. I think are going to be great.
Assuming that we're like riding horses, I don't want to go outside and ride horses because it's going to be cold.
We're going to ride horses at some point, that's a given.
Definitely going to ride horses.
This is the Winter Palace, the Summer Palace is Schönbrunn.
Vienna is famous for its 2 horse carriages known as Fiakers. And as a horse person myself, I found it very interesting to see which pairs were okay with our little hot rod cars and which ones maybe were a little bit more hestant about it.
Well, you would be the only one I would allow not to wear a helmet but keep this hat on.
Have you ever met a cowboy before?
No, I love his hat too.
Alright, here we are. It's our second full day in Vienna, and today I have told the group that we are doing horses, but we're not riding. So they keep asking, when are the horses? We know that I always include like a trademark horse riding event. So let's see what they think we're doing, shall we?
We're here at the apartment and it is just me and Nicole. We are not of the coffee drinking contingent and we get an extra like 40 minutes to get ready in the morning. Since we're in Vienna, which is home of the famous Spanish riding school, I think we're going to go meet the Lipizzaner stallions.
We discussed it this morning over coffee. We're the early risers, so we were here early. I have no idea.
Looking at ponies.
Okay. Trying to figure out what's going on. We're going down an alleyway. We're gonna get in a brawl and I'm gonna have to fling myself off this hill.
I knew it! Ponies!
Damit die einem nicht auf die Zehen steigen, schauen wir bitte, dass wir immer zusammenbleiben oder wenn ich sage, bitte dort rüber oder daher, dann einfach machen. Ansonsten ist relativ alles andere erlaubt, also gerne Carriages than Vienna. And obviously our 100 plus horses, they are not all here, so that means we also have different stables. One is right next to the Imperial Palace of Schönbrunn, because we're also the only ones who carry the license to ride inside the Imperial Gardens there. Oh. We also have a big horse farm that is situated outside of Vienna. There we have the space of around 15 hectares, and this is where all of our horses spend their training, education, vacation, a little bit of their spare time in between, and once they're old, later on their retirement. Whenever it comes to the work-life balance of the horses, I would say they have a better one than I do. They are only allowed to work a maximum of 4 days per week. 3 days they have to be off, and in addition to that we try to give them between 5 and 7 weeks of vacation somewhere in the main season time frame between March and October. It's really important to understand that you should never give the horses all the vacation at once, because that is the most counterproductive thing that you could do.
Done that before.
Yeah. So are you familiar with horses?
Yeah.
So then I don't need to go very much into the detail.
We would like it.
But you know, the problem here is if we put them on our green fields, like for weeks, they don't exercise there, they don't move there, you know, their heads are down, they keep eating. And what happens if you just keep eating but stop exercising? Exactly. We gain weight, we lose all the good muscle, the good condition. I would also say we should never underestimate the psychological aspect, because they get bored as well. They are used to their exercise in front of the carriage. Therefore we try to separate the vacation well, because you also know whenever horses have a very long break and then you put them in front of the carriage again, you might also have some issues, like I don't know what it's called in English, but there are certain horse disease that you might get then, because if you suddenly start working again, and then and so we want to avoid all these things, obviously, and therefore we try to split up the vacation. And I know a lot of people have a very romantic imagination of horses. I know whenever they are on the green fields, all of them are happy, but it's not that simple, especially not for horses who have been with humans for like 6,000 years. Horses do have a retirement. That means we are not selling them to anybody else, and we are not slaughtering them. Slaughtering carriage horses is forbidden by the law here in Vienna for 30 years already. We have been the first ones who actually started to keep the horses already longer than this law exists. grandfather, he already realized and said, I cannot do this anymore. A horse that has been working with me and for me, achieving everything that you can see around you, and then to bring it to the slaughterhouse and watch it die is not correct. 50, 60 years ago, things have been different. Nobody had enough money to keep horses that, you know,
expensive when they're old.
Yeah, exactly. And at the moment, we have 14 retired horses living with us on the farm.
Oh.
Usually our horses retire at an age around 20 years. It's always slightly individual. Usually they also reach an age of around 30 years. You all know this. Sometimes you have horses, they pass away under unexpected circumstances way too early. On the other hand, we also have horses where they reach ages where you're asking yourself, how is that even possible?
Nicole, your horse?
Yeah, how old is it?
38.
Yeah, exactly. Our oldest one was 30. Well, most of the horses we have here are Hungarian Warmbloods. And we also do have Lipizans here. The big difference here is the Lipizans from the Spanish horse riding school, they come from Austria. But our Lipizans come from Hungary. In Hungary, they still breed the Lipizans for draft work, or pulling a carriage. And the Lipizans in Austria, they are mostly bred for dressage. Also, if you look at their bodies, their shape and their types, ours look a little bit different. All the horses you see here are more or less specially bred for draft work. And then we also have Hungarian Onyus. This is a very old Hungarian breed, originally bred for draft work in agriculture, but also very good for what we do here. They have a very slow pace, they're very relaxed, almost too relaxed. These are good attributes that we need for our horses since we work in traffic. You cannot turn every horse into a carriage horse that is walking in traffic and feeling comfortable with it. If we would use an Arabic horse here, probably a suicide squad. On the other hand, if we take our horses for a rodeo or if we take them to a racetrack, it would always end up in last rank because they don't care about everything around them. So. Now we are here inside of the closet of our horses. So here we keep all the harness. We need to get them ready quickly in the morning. It is super important that the harness is already adjusted to the perfect size of the horses. I would just say in comparison to horseback riding, it's maybe a little bit more complicated because we have a lot more belts, reins and buckles to adjust. And if the harness is not adjusted correctly to the horses, the whole pulling mechanism between the carriage and the horses is not working properly. That would mean that the horses need a little bit more power than actually required to move and pull the carriage. That will lead to different problems and issues with their bones, muscles, joints and so on. And I don't need to tell you that we want to avoid all these things. We try to have a strict order here. And whenever the coachman or the groom picks up the harness, he can also immediately tell if it's for the left or for the right horse because there are slight differences in it. What is maybe interesting for you when it comes to driving the carriage, here in Vienna we have a very own system how to drive the carriage. In Europe there's only two styles. First one is driving like Achenbach, that was a German guy who invented this style, and the second style is the Hungarian Viennese style. So this was invented in the Austrian-Hungarian monarchy here in Vienna. When you drive like Achenbach, you have two horses in front of the carriage, you only have one rein on the left in your hand and one on the right. The rein separates in two, cross one and the straight one. Here it's different because we have in the left hand we have two reins and in the right hand we have two reins. The entire movement of the horses or the entire navigation works a little bit different. And this style of driving was very revolutionary for that time. It was possible for the first time to move the horses up to an inch close with a carriage. The other style of driving is more for the countryside. This is more practical and more useful. This is why the Viennese Fiakers have become very famous because of their own adjustments they did to the harness, to the reins and everything. A lot of different stories sort of supported the big myth of the Fiakers. One of my favorite story is there was a German king, Wilhelm, I think the fifth, I don't know, don't nail me, but Wilhelm the fifth. He had a horse, nobody could drive this horse. He took a bet with a Viennese Fiaker. He said to him, I give you 6 months. If you can train this horse that it can be driven in a carriage, I will give you a huge amount of gold. The story says after 5 days, The Fiaker came back with the horse in front of the carriage, and he was rolling in the courtyard of his palace and said it was not so hard. And so also the Fiakers quickly became very famous for their training methods. When it comes to horses, there are a lot of different philosophies and ways of training and education. Most of these things here are not written down. It's a lot of feeling, it's a lot of sense, and we try to pass it on from generation to generation. It's actually a shame that you cannot help yourself any other than, you know, suing people for spreading misinformation.
Yeah.
But that is sometimes hard, because if you ride out, if your horse slips, falls down, you fall with the horse. People who are with you and they are horse people, they know it happens.
Yeah.
If that happens in front of St. Stephen's Cathedral, you got all the newspapers covered.
Yeah.
That is a big problem for us. Even though the horse gets up later, you check on the horse, you can clearly tell nothing happened. You cannot keep riding. It's animal ambulance, animal doctor needs to come. They need to check on the horse. They need to write a report. The report needs to go to the government. You have to call your own vet to come to check. Then they have to sign the paperwork that everything is fine. There's a lot of things around it, and that makes it sometimes very hard and frustrating for us. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's a beautiful job. There is almost no other job in the world where you have more time to work with the same horses than ours. Basically, you spend like 8, 10, 12 hours with the same horses every day. And that is like wonderful.
Yeah. The legal side of it has probably changed so much
the
since your
downside.
grandparents' day and age, though.
Absolutely.
They dealt
Back
with so
then
much
there was
less
no
of
4
that.
days a week. Back then there were no logbooks for the horses where you had to write down everything. But I think we need to go. Back then there was no, you know, no medical registrational checks for the horses, and so on and so on and so on. Both of yours actually have been even formally owned by the Austrian royal family, and that is something special, because I think what you can see in other countries' museums is really on the road here. Of course they have disc brakes and electric lights now, adjusted to the traffic situation, but the base of it is still original. From time to time such carriages go to auctions, and whenever they go to auction they will get you a value between 60 to 80,000 euro. Sure. Adding the horses to the value, today you're riding a Porsche car just with less horsepower. Alright, so please split up and jump in. Two of my favorites, these are the Hungarian ones. Matti and Jano.
Jano.
Yeah,
Very
and
good.
these are super relaxed, sometimes hard to drive, because if you're a little bit in a hurry, and if you don't know how to, you know, communicate correctly with them, you cannot pace them up. It's impossible. Whenever they don't like anything, they will immediately tell you. So it's a very, very fun breed. Yeah, I love it. Enjoy the tour.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're riding in a Fiaker with Hungarian Warmbloods.
What do you call them? I videoed it, so I'll have the answer. It's like a Hungarian Nonya?
Pretty cool.
Yeah, she didn't even ring.
I think she had like an outside ring.
Yep.
What is this still hanging out?
How does it feel to be in the slowest carriage?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, why are we slowing down?
Hey, pass them.
Oh my god.
Hey.
Good job.
Bye, ponies.
You guys are doing great.
How is your German so far?
My German is impeccable.
Bueno.
She wants to experience fondue. You need to say that on your interview.
I want to experience the fondue.
She wants to experience the fondue.
We're too Italian. We're too far north.
My German's no bueno.
Is that your new car?
Yes, that's all.
When you're broke down on the side of the road, you call for reinforcements.
The shrug.
Verdict is we don't know, but we're going, so. The race is on and here comes Brad and the veteran.
Fiaker is a word of French origin, replacing the term Jansky for the coaches in Vienna in 1720. During the height of the carriage trade from 1860 to 1900, over 1,000 Fiakers cruised the roads of the city. To this day, tourists can enjoy a comfortable seat as they tour Old City, the Ringstrasse, or their custom sightseeing and/or dining tour.